Hi, my name is Kenny Martell, and my presentation is on the need for finance reform. So here it goes. How we got here? Well, in the year 2010, there was a Supreme Court case between a group called Citizens United and the Federal Elections Commission. The court issue was over the right to submit commercials and messages in the form of either short movies or ads against a candidate or in favor of a candidate in a campaign season or in an election cycle. It was also over the idea that corporations have a limit in what they can donate towards ads. More specifically, this case was about Citizens United wanting to submit a short movie about Hillary Clinton and portraying her in a negative light to hurt her chances to become president that year. They were not allowed to do so, and they took it to court and ended up in the Supreme Court. And so, how we got here continued. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of Citizens United. They really made it possible for corporations to give unlimited amounts of money in the payment of ads and messages. The court stated there was no evidence of money from corporations and corruption. So the court felt that corporations pretty much paying for ads or anything like that didn't really lead to there being corruption. There was also another case, kind of in the same year, called SpeechNow.org versus the FEC. So this court case ultimately led to the what we now know as super PACs. It did this by SpeechNow.org. They were forced to form themselves into a PAC or a super PAC, and it also upheld the belief that super PACs could receive any amount of money, but candidates directly receiving money needed to have a limit. So, kind of, in a way, is a loophole where the super PACs and the PACs can have as much money as they want, but and essentially help out the candidate, but the candidates can't get the money themselves. So it's pretty much doesn't really make a difference. The numbers. So Mitt Romney in the 2012 campaign raised $153 million in money, and they did this. They spent $140 million of it on ads. So this wasn't actually a Mitt Romney super PAC, but it was a super PAC that backed Mitt Romney. So, but it's kind of and it's difficult because it's a super PAC that only backed Romney. So it's debatable how ethical that might be. So in this campaign season, Jeb Bush has raised about $100 million dollars, the most by anybody by a lot. So moving on. So what is a super PAC? Well, a PAC is known as a political action committee, and so they pretty much do what they say. They kind of advocate for political action. So a super PAC is responsible for pretty much buying ads or what's called an independent expenditure, and those ads usually go against a candidate or for a candidate. So they kind of more aggressive form of a PAC. So the important part of an independent expenditure is the keyword independent. They're assumed to be independent, therefore a candidate cannot have any influence on what the ads might be for. They can't say anything or be involved. But again, that's gets a little interesting, as if you look at all the super PACs, you really wonder. So are they really independent? There are millions of dollars raised to buy ads and campaigns. This money comes from corporations, people, and labor unions can also donate any amounts of money that they want. Regardless if those are going towards conservative politicians or candidates or liberal candidates, it's an interesting situation. So there's definitely a legit question on how independent the ads might be. The barriers. One key barrier is that some of the facts can mislead the people. One example is the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. I would think that was a U.S. department on business or something, but that is actually a PAC, Political Action Committee, and so they donate about 97% of their raised money to conservative Republicans, and about 3% has gone to Democrats, or possibly it could be a candidate, or it could be an organization. Another barrier is that the political finance system and laws can be very confusing. It's definitely not easy to follow or understand. There's a lot of words that can be difficult to understand. That can be hard to follow the money because money is going all different places. So people may not fully understand where the money comes from, where it goes. You know, a system where people or corporations are donating to almost like other corporations, essentially, or political action committees, and then they're doing what they want with that money. But you wonder if there's any collusion going on with the corporations or the labor unions with the super PACs. So what do we do about it? Well, some people have wanted Citizens United to be repealed, but that's not really too likely, considering it's only 5 years old, and there's just a lot of powerful people, and powerful institutions that are at this point for it. People have started groups to advocate against it, but they only get so far. One thing that's been coming up is finance reform. So let's hear about that. So finance reform can also be kind of known as a clean election system. And this developed kind of a while ago, but it's been growing and changing in the city of Seattle and in Maine. So the clean election systems, again, aren't new, but they have been gaining popularity. So the clean election systems in Seattle is a system where a candidate is receiving public funds and not private funds. So the voters, or the people who live in Seattle, receive vouchers, and they receive 4 $25 vouchers, and they're able to donate those vouchers to any candidates they want. But in doing so, that's all the money that they get for the election. So clean election candidate were to run against somebody who used private funds, then some of the rules have stated that clean election candidate may then be allowed to get their own private funds. So there are rules that have been created, and it's very new, so it's going to be quite some time before we understand how it will work exactly. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that goes. The Maine, they've done theirs a little differently. They have limits on what candidates can raise in their campaign, and that's just so that's kind of a different twist on it, where it's not public funds necessarily, but or not as much public funds as Seattle, but it's definitely interesting to see how in years coming up which system might be better or worse. So yes, ethics are definitely important to consider in any election, whether it's public funded or private funded. So the finance reform has included a lot of different laws that we kind of already touched upon. So the future. I want people to campaign and advocate for finance reform. One important, I think, messages that I've heard is that everyone has First Amendment right for free speech. However, in this campaign system, how we have now, people who have the most money tend to have the loudest voice. So that is disturbing and definitely troubling. So hopefully in the future, everyone has the same voice and no one's louder than anybody else. So that can be done by having a system that is nationalized and not state by state, and that way it can be less confusing, where the whole state is maybe run by the same rules in their campaign, and we get all the money out of the campaign system and going towards maybe better places. Not all the ads that we're being forced to watch every November and every 4 years. So hopefully, in the future, we get more people who are for this and see the importance for campaign finance reform. So thank you, and have a nice day.